Welcome back. Today is Merle's turn again. Finished up his dog leg on the passenger side the other day. Now we're going to attack the front nose. Going to get a whole new skin. There's our new skin. This new skins don't come with the headlight buckets in them. So I usually purchase them. I could, or you could, cut the old ones out of there. But for the amount of money that those cost versus the labor to try to cut those out of there, it just isn't worth it. I'd rather just buy the new ones and weld them in. It's much quicker. So how I attack these front nose skins is, in this particular case, we're going to, it's already rotted here, so we don't have to do much cutting along the top. But I'm going to come along here and I'm going to cut this all free. So remember, when we take stuff off, we take a big chunk off and we leave the little stuff where the spot welds are. So I've made a cut right here. That's about how far I'm going to go up initially. I have much more here, but remember, we can always cut more. So I've kind of had drawn a line like this. That's where I'll cut. Where the grill goes here, there's several spot welds. We've got spot welds all along the bottom here. And then we have spot welds here. A little trick for finding spot welds, a lot of times if you take a piece of sandpaper, it'll reveal your spot welds where they're located for you. Not always, but many times it will. So what I've done is I've gone through and I located a couple over here. I've got my spot weld driller. What I do is I usually take a regular drill bit and just put a little bit of an indentation. The little tip on here don't really seem to hold it in place, and when it hits, it starts to go all over the place. So I usually just put that little bit in there so I can go real slow. And it still does it a little bit, but that's how you drill those out. So I've got that one drilled. These bottom ones, I want to save this, so I'm not going to drill these out. What I will do is, like I have in other areas, I put a cut right here and a cut over here, and then I'm gonna take the Sawzall and I'm gonna cut along here to break that loose so I can get my big piece of the nose off. Then I'll come back and slowly work these free with some different method. I hate drilling all these out because then it just turns into such Swiss cheese. It's just, I don't like doing that. But, so, then for the bottom area, I'll do the same thing initially, as I'll take and I'll put a cut all along here and bring me out to my edge. And we got Thunder helping today. Now, to get this free along here, the trick for that, let me show you, I'm going to get my glasses here, is we're going to take the grinder. This front nose comes here and it lips over. It's kind of a pinch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grind this edge free. And what you'll see is happening here, you can see how that inner lip is coming free, and our nose will be free. There are a few spot welds along these usually. Not too many. It looks like there's probably one right about here, but it's this piece spotted onto there. So we do that all the way along and all the way up here to meet with our cut. Same with the bottom. And then the majority of this whole nose is going to come right off. That'll be our first step. So then we'll work on cleaning up our edges. So let me get everything cut and I'll show you popping it off. One thing I just thought of, when you're cutting into this A-pillar up here, you need to be very careful because there's an inner structure in here. So when you make this cut, don't go too deep. You've got to just take your cutoff wheel or something and just go don't shallow, just enough to cut this outer layer, because you don't want to cut that inner structure out of there. So I'm going to go get all that ready to take off, and then I'll pop back on here and let you see the nose come off. All right. I think I have everything free. Spot welds are all drilled out. Hopefully I didn't miss any. Cut along the top. And here's a good example now that I ground that edge. You can see how that popped itself free. This inner little lip here, that'll come off real easy. Usually does. That spot welds that are holding it on aren't too much. And then we get our cut down below here. So let's see if I missed anything. A yank here. There we go. We have a faceless bus. So that's what it looks like inside there. Here's that inner structure I was telling you about. I cut into it a tad, so that's why we want to be careful. See all of this. Yeah, this will clean up nice. I'll be able to grind all those off, and then I'm gonna, if you've watched my video on my dog leg, I'll probably put slices in here and slowly work that. We've got down here, let's see, I'll probably kind of just cut this piece right here, this inner one, that's going to get replaced too. Let's see here, let me go get that. That's this piece right here. Goes inside that nose, so that's going to get replaced. So that'll help make our job a little bit easier. So I'll get the rest of this cut off. I should say, yeah, and cleaned up. We'll come back and I'll show you some more. So I broke this open to show you how this lower piece goes on. You can see that it's two pieces, inner and outer itself. So I broke the outer layer off. It mounts the frame rail is right behind here. So this is welded to the frame rail. So that's holding it on. And then this particular, on the older buses, they call it the headlight bucket support. I know the headlight buckets are in there on the split windows, but that's spot welded here to this. So we need to get these spot welds out of here, and then all of the spot welds that hold this to here. Looks like these are loose already, but it looks like we've got some rot there that I'll have to repair. But then we have some spot welds right here that hold this to that part. So that's kind of what we're looking at there, and how that piece is attached. Thought I'd just bring you in real quick, show you what we're trying to do to get that off, so you got an idea if you're doing it on your project. Okay, back again. Got it cleaned up, got this all off, got our edge up. I do have a thin spot right here. I'll probably replace a little bit of this lip here. This all came off pretty decent and whatnot. Where we ran into another, oh crap. So as I'm trying to get this off of this support piece here, I quit and gave up. I didn't even finish. It's rusted here pretty bad. There's pinholes all through here. So we have a whole new panel. This whole new panel we're going to replace. Got one on order. So I got to wait for that to get here. But I did get it off from the frame rails here, and let me tell you, that was a pain in the butt. There were probably 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 freaking huge spot welds, and it was 2 layers thick there. That sucked taking it off. So be forewarned when you get to that part of the project. It's no fun. But so yeah, we're gonna replace this. Here's our A-pillar. I knew there was gonna be a little bit of rot there, but this will be a pretty easy fix. I'll be able to cut that A-pillar right here and make this little chunk. It's fine on the other side there, but that won't be too bad of a fix. So, but that's where we're at. I'll probably mess with the A-pillar pieces a little bit, but until then, really can't do much more until I get that other piece. So we'll come back when we have that, and I'll show you how to cut that out of there. All right, everybody, take care. Welcome back, everyone. So where I left you last, on the front nose, we had tore off all this down here, and we found that our tray right here, or whatever the heck that's called, is pretty bad. There's a lot of pinholes through here, so I said we had to order one. So we've got our new piece here. So our first plan of attack is to get the old one off, obviously. And what it looks like is there's spot welds over here and all along here where it mounts it to the floor. So those will have to get drilled out. What I've shown in the past is to take a piece of sandpaper and go where the spot welds are, and you can see it highlights the spot welds for me. I can see them much better. This doesn't always work, but in this case it's working real well because I couldn't see them very good. So there's quite a few of them. But I'm going to take the spot weld drill and I'm going to drill all them out, and then hopefully this whole piece will come off. So let me get those drilled out and I'll bring you back and show you what it looks like underneath there. Okay? See ya. Hello. Think I have all the spot welds out. So let's see if it'll come off. I know it fell loose over there already, so. We got one here that's not quite cut enough. Ta-da! That wasn't too bad of a job. But I've also noticed that I have to do is this little bracket for the window washer bottle is not on the new one, so I've got to get all the spot welds drilled out of that. I started to when it was up there, but I couldn't see them all. I can see them from this side though. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to just finish cutting this little bit of this A-pillar out. And then I'm going to get the zapper set up and laser clean all of this in here to get rid of all the rust and whatnot. And then get a coat of epoxy primer on it before I start putting everything else back on. So good start so far today. So let me get the cleaner set up and I'll bring you in, let you watch a little bit of that, and we'll go from there. All right. Ready, set, zap. I figured I'd show you what it looks like all zapped up. Ready to get some epoxy primer on. I did everything underneath there. So once I epoxy that, pretty much everything will be done up front here. So that'll be good. So stop in again once it's done. All right, bye. Here we are. Got everything zapped, epoxy primed, all around there. I also got the e-coating off my dog legs. I did underneath the floor and everything since I had the zapper out. So what I'm working on here is I made my little patches for the A-pillar here. Got those for both sides. And now I'm fitting this other new panel here. So I've got it clamped on there. It roughly sits on top of these frame rails. But what you need to check and make sure when you're putting it in, right here, this little bump needs to be flush with the top of here. Because we need to leave somewhat of there needs to be a slot here because our kick panel goes down in there. But this goes just about right there. And we need to have that up enough because what we're looking at from the other side, it's this little bump. Our spot welds go right here. And if we've got that too low, we're not going to hit any of this lip right here. Our spot welded to this thing like right about here. So I mean there's not a lot of room for error. So what I also did to help me out is I went underneath here and I drew, I'm not sure if you'll be able to see it, but I drew a line on the bottom of the floor there on our new panel. So what that's going to give me is a reference point. There's my line. So I know, and you can see there's not much space here. I need to put my holes right along here. So I'm going to drill all those out to put my plug welds in. So you can see here on the old panel, it's just on the bottom edge here. So that's how that fits on there. So what I'm going to do now is I'll let you guys go. I'm going to get all my holes drilled. And I'll get my A-pillar pieces welded in. I'll get this welded in. And then we'll start fitting our other bottom front inner there. So let me bring you back when I've got that taken care of. Okay. Back for more. So our panel's welded in. Actually, very nice patch panel. Fit very, very nice. Really didn't have to do any tweaking to it. It lined up. Got it plug welded in. Got my little patches for my A-pillars welded in. Now, unfortunately, our next panel I don't think is going to be as nice. This one looks pretty crappy. So, that would be this beast. Now, that also has some M caps here. Go in here like this. So they actually, this closes out the bottom of this A-pillar. Goes in that hole. This mounts to the dog leg. There's a tab coming down off the dog leg. So that's how that, what this piece does, it ties in there. And it, let's see here. This is how it's going on here, like that. So you'll see that a little bit better once I get it in there. So that's going to go in there. And we've got this side works the same way, like such. Those two pieces are pretty good. They're better quality. So I'm not complaining about those. This one is just warped and the most unstraight piece in the world. And let's get it up here temporarily. I'll show you what else is a mess. So that's essentially how it's got to go up there. But this is where the bottom of the nose is going to spot weld to this, the whole nose panel. This is sticking way out. I'm going to have to grind this piece flush. So when that was spot welded on, they didn't give a care a rat's ass on how it got welded on. This whole lip is just crooked. So that'll have to get straightened and tweaked a little bit. But other than that, this is how it pretty much goes in there. I've got a few Cleo in here to hold it up. So what I'm gonna do, kind of rinse and repeat, like all of our panels. I'm gonna go through and mark where my stuff is gonna get welded, so I know I've gotta come along here. Yeah, here this whole piece has got to get part of that. There's another issue with that one. It's bent way out. That's got to get bent in to meet up to the A pillar. But so I'm gonna mark all this stuff so I know where to grind and clean it all up for when we weld it on. I will go through, I will drill holes in our other panel there all along, because then we'll plug weld this new piece onto this. That's how that goes. From the factory, obviously there's two pieces on this patch panel. From the factory, they welded this inner one on first, and that got plug welded to that frame rail. And I showed you that, how big of a pain in the butt that was getting off, because there was like 100 spot welds. Well, not 100, but like 6 huge ones. So I can't get in there to weld it on because this is prefab. But what I'll do is from the back side, I will be able to just put a bead of weld on the frame rail to this piece. That won't really be a big issue. So that's my plan of attack. Like I said, this one's not going to be as straightforward, but it'll work and it'll be hidden once it's done. So let me get it all fitted up and I'll bring you back and show you how we accomplished everything. Take care. It's attached. Here's all of our spots. Plug welded along there onto our A pillars. There's what we got underneath. You can see hopefully how this end cap goes in here. It's on there. Welded my frame rails to it. So that's that part. Now we get to start fitting our nose. That'll be fun. We'll see you in a little bit when I get it kind of close. All right, let's finally get this beast on. So I welded the headlight buckets in. That's real straightforward. You can't put them in wrong. There's this little notch on the bucket and a notch on the nose. They basically go in there. Oh, and I just put tack welds to hold them in there. So those are straightforward. So then I bent these lips open and I set the nose up in there, and I initially clamped it right here. And I worked this lip over the A-pillar frame. Now I'm trying to work this side over it. This side isn't as easy because, you know, we're trying to stretch this whole thing. Versus the other side, you know, we could kind of push the whole nose that way, but now we're trying to pull it back. So I've kind of went in there and I'm straightening this out a little bit to try to get it to come around there. And I'm at the point now where I'm going to see if I can tap it into place. it's there, but boy, this whole thing has got to come that way. And looking at the opening here, that does kind of confirm that. We're tight there, and we've got a lot of space there. So this whole nose can move to the driver's side. So it's a matter of, I'll probably have to bend this up a little bit too on this side, just to start getting stuff in there. But it's kind of just slowly taking your time and working it. I really don't believe that it's a bad nose panel, reason why it's not over here. It just, I've got to take my time and slowly work it into place. So, but that's how I'm going to do it. I'm going to bend that side. I'm going to try to get this over a little bit, because if it comes over a little bit, it'll push right in there, and then we'll be able to bend our edges over. So I won't bore you with my cussing and swearing, but so I'll bring you back when I'm closer. All right. So I've got the nose on. What I had to do is I had to take and bend this open a little bit more. They were in there a little bit too far. I couldn't get them. So I opened them up, got one side started, came over, and then clamped this one, and it actually went in there real nice. I also cut these pillars up there, ground up, ready to go. I went through, and all this is going to get spot welded on with my Harbor Freight spot welder. I'll show you that in a bit. But I went through and I marked all these off before I put the panel on. So I ground here on the back side of this panel, back side of the bus itself, and the other piece, so I have a nice clean surface to spot weld to. That'll also happen down below here. This will all get spot welded on. Up here, I drilled these holes, and I'll just show you a little tip here. I actually forgot to drill these and mark them before I put the panel on. So I had to drill them afterwards. But then when you drill it afterwards, there's that paint and primer on the other piece in there. So what I do is I have a drill bit and I ground it flat so I can put it in the hole here and it'll clean that surface up. So we got the paint off of there for where we're going to spot weld. So that's what I did there. And now basically I'm going to start tapping this back down here, our surface or our edge here. And all I'm doing is I had put this clamp down here, and I'm taking my dolly and I'm holding it on the outside, and I'm slowly so that's how I'm doing that. And it does have to be a little bit tighter. It's still sticking up, so I'll get in there. I'll probably put the dolly on the inside, maybe even take a vice grips real carefully. But you're just basically going to go real slow, and you're going to work that bend to crimp it in there. After that, in a few selected spots, I'll take my little cutoff wheel and I'll put a little groove in here to cut through it, and then I'll put a weld in there. That'll help me weld this to that a little bit. Because from the factory, they had a couple of real minor, a few spot welds. And it was almost like every 6 inches or 8 inches. But so that's what I'll do just to kind of hold that in place. And I'll be able to grind that and you'll never know that it's was in there. Same with up here. All this will have to get welded. It was welded from the factory and I had to grind it off, taking the old one off. So, and now let me show you the spot welder and how that works. So basically it's just a Harbor Freight cheapo. I'll tell you, it works really well. I got the 220 version, but you're just gonna put, let's get a vice grips over there to pull that tight first. We want to pull our metal as tight as we can. So we get good contact. I'm basically going to pinch this and hit the trigger, and voila. That's how that works. Pretty straightforward, pretty simple. Well worth the $200. Otherwise, I'd have to drill every one of these and put a plug weld in there. Plug weld it and then go and grind my plug weld off. Whereas now, it's just a good old spot weld. Same with on the very bottom of the panel. So that's how that works. So top, bottom. I'll get these in to do this part, this bottom edge here. I will I'll put little notches in here and then I'll weld that together. It's going to be, I unfortunately can't get the spot welder in here to pinch that. This bump is in the way. And to drill and plug weld is kind of a pain, but if I just notch that a little bit and weld it up, it'll work just as well as a spot weld or a plug weld. So that's where that's at. So I'm going to go through and finish all that up, and then I think our nose will be on. If I come up with anything before that, I'll bring you back. But otherwise, when you come back next, hopefully we have a fully welded on face for our bus again. He's coming back to life. Okay, talk to you later, guys. Merle's got his face again. There we go. That's all that welded up. Everything there. There's our spot welds up here. Spot welded down here. Our door gap. That's why I put the doors back on, make sure that was working right. That's all. And I wish you could see where I bent it in there better, but that's it. So let me know what you think in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Hope you learned something. Please subscribe to the channel. Would appreciate it very much. Let's see here. Trying to think of what we got next on Merle. We're getting the metal work just about done. I've got some cross members underneath that I have to put in. Those won't be bad, but we'll bring you back. So again, appreciate your watching the videos, and we'll talk to you guys later. Thanks.